everyone. Welcome to GLP-1 Real Talk Live. I've got some fabulous GLP-1 users who are also YouTube creators, and we are here to give you the real talk about using GLP-1s on our weight loss and health and wellness journeys. Thank you. We are super excited. This is our first show. And so we ask for you to just lean into this with us, enjoy the experience. It's just all about real people with real conversations discussing GLP-1s. I want to start first by my name is KendyK all day. And I want to let each of these fabulous creators introduce themselves. And we'll start with JC Calamity Jane. JC, I want you all to tell us a little bit about yourself and how long have you been on a GLP-1 weight loss journey, using a GLP-1, what medication you are using, and what made you start that GLP-1 use? Was there something? Okay. You are.
So JC Calamity Jane, thank you so much. You can call me JC, Jane, whatever. Just don't call me late for dinner. Anyway, so, but I had to do it. But I've been on this journey since July 16th, 2025. And what led me here was after 3 years of saying no. My doctors offered it to me for about 3 years. And after 3 years of saying no, my primary care was like, we've got to do something. And so here we are, but I'm on Zepbound, currently on 7.5 mg. So yeah.
And so the 7.5 mg is your current dosage?
Correct. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Grant, you're up next.
Hi, this is Grant Campbell, a faithful GLP-1 journey, and I am on Mounjaro. Got started back on January 19th, 2025, and have titrated all the way up to, as of today, 15 milligrams.
Okay. Thank you, Grant. Grant, what made you start on your GLP-1, using prescription GLP-1 for weight loss?
Type 2 diabetes.
Okay. How long have you been a type 2 diabetic?
Really, actually, since 2023, but I was in denial for a few years.
And JC, I want to go back to you because you diabetes was a factor in your life.
So certainly. So though I'm a type 1 diabetic for over 30 years, and while, yes, ultimately anything extra added on to just being a type 1 diabetic is, of course, a perfect pot of soup for later complications. And so weight being a factor in many other health conditions, if you target the weight, it will therefore reduce the amount of, other things that may happen. The key word here is insulin resistance, because even type 1s can have insulin resistance especially after 30 years of this condition.
Thank you both. Thank you, Grant. Thank you, JC Calamity Jane. Let's hear now from Vicky's World to Moms.
Hi, my name is Vicky, and I'm Vicky's World to Moms. And my channel, I have 2 boys, a spouse, and I am on Mounjaro. I've been on Mounjaro for 6 weeks, and I've already lost 24 pounds. I started Mounjaro because I have diabetes, I have Crohn's, and I'm overweight. So they put me on Mounjaro. They was a little worried about the effect it would have on my intestines. So they did wait for a couple of years before they approved me for it. But now it's working.
Congratulations on that, Vicky's World to Moms. Next, let's hear from the low carb queen.
Hello. My name is Kim, your low carb queen, and I started Mounjaro, Grant, the same time you did, January 2025. I was pre-diabetic, and I had been trying to lose weight, on my own roller coaster. A couple years before that, I was on Ozempic and had some serious side effects there. So I've been on it now for a little over a year. When I started it, currently I'm down about 50 pounds. I fluctuate because before Mounjaro, and I'm on 12.5. 12.5, and I'm kind of going back with my nurse practitioner about titrating up. We're going back and forth. I met with her today. But before that, I had lost about 40 pounds. So altogether, I'm somewhere between 80 and 90 pounds down. I keep roller coastering with that 10 pounds.
We're gonna have an opportunity, Low Carb Queen, to talk a little bit more about that. And so thank you for being here, Low Carb Queen. And in the YouTube streets, we call her Kim, and she is one of our queens in these YouTube streets. Kim, would you share with us? We'll save it for just a little bit. Let's finish getting everyone introduced here. Bringing up the rear, but saving the best for last. It's Gemini Diva 79.
Hi, my name is Trina. For those of you who don't know, I am a type 2 diabetic. Been since 2016. I started off on Ozempic. It was more of a diabetic standpoint, and then I switched over to Mounjaro. And I've been on that 5 weeks now. It's just there. My weight is plateaued tremendously. I lost about 50 pounds, 50, 60 pounds.
Yeah.
But
congratulations.
Now I'm just stalemate on everything. It's not going up, it's not going down, it's just there.
I wonder, have you had like metabolic testing, Gemini Diva 79?
I have. I just got off a Zoom meeting with my dietitian, so hopefully we'll figure out something. But right now, it's just I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, so not necessarily the weight, but what about as a type 2 diabetic, Gemini Diva? How are your numbers doing as far as A1C?
The numbers are good. I also have a congestive heart failure too. So I have to be careful. This no salt, no sugar is getting there.
Yeah.
It's either one or the other. I just can't do both.
Okay.
But the numbers have been good. It's just I'm close to getting off of my insulin. So it's just there.
Okay. Well, that's a win. And let's hold on to that. And sooner or later, the weight has to move. The scale has to move. And I'm KendyK all day. And I am Zepbound, and I am probably the baby of the bunch in this case because I just took my second dose of Zepbound. I'm so new to this thing that there are so many numbers in my head. I don't remember what that dose is, but they start you on the lowest dose, and that's what I'm on. And I just took my second dose of that last Friday, my second injection. And we have one creator who is supporting us through the chat. That is Doses of Shani. And we are the GLP-1 collective who will be with you as your hostess with the mostest. And that's a collective. That's a plural word. And we will just be talking that real talk about GLP-1 use and how we're doing on it, answering any questions you have. Let's take a moment and let's go to the chat. And friends, thank you all for being here with us. If you are in the chat, would you put a 1 in the chat? If you are currently taking a GLP-1, drop a 2 in the chat. If you're thinking about or considering GLP-1s to reach your health and wellness goals, specifically your weight loss goals, and put a 3 in the chat if you are here to learn more so that you can support someone who is using GLP-1s to reach their health and wellness goals. And I just want to take a moment so that we can acknowledge some of these great, kind humans who are down in that chat. We want to acknowledge Jackie McDeever, who stopped by early this morning and shared some love on this stream. We appreciate that. And we want to thank Vicky's World. I want to thank Vicky's World for upgrading that membership to KendyK's core crew. Thank you, Vicky's World. Vicky's World is one of our panelists today. We want to welcome in Traveling T. Traveling T. Now, creators, panelists, would you make sure that we're resting on mute so we can keep any extraneous little buzz down? Thank you. We want to welcome in Doses of Shani. Yeah. There's Doses of Shani. And we want to welcome in Nuestra Familia, my Umbo family. Thank you all for being here for our GLP-1 conversation. And just talking that real talk, the talk that everyone has or wants to have, so that you can make the right decision for you and for your health. So go ahead, friends. If you do have a question, go ahead and begin to drop those in the comments now, and I can put those up on the screen. And we, as the GLP-1 Collective, we're willing to share our honest answers. Of course, we are not medical providers, so please work with your medical providers in your community to make good decisions about your health. But we certainly thank you for being here, and we're happy to share our experiences and our understandings as we are each on our own GLP-1 journeys. Yeah, since friends saying hello to our good friend Grant. And Grant is new as a content creator, started as a GLP-1 viewer and consumer of GLP-1 content. How has that been for you, Grant, as you have just probably has it been a little over a month since you transitioned and became a GLP-1 viewer of YouTube content to being a GLP-1 creator of YouTube content? How has that been for you, Grant?
It's been exciting. I started February 5th, so it's been a little over a month. And, the support's just overwhelming. And, I always had support from the, like you said, the viewer end, and then to convert to a content creator. It's just been very exciting and humbling at all the support I've gotten.
It is. And that's one thing that I can truly say. As I started my GLP-1 journey on Zepbound, I was surrounded by a ready-made community of GLP-1 users, and I was already connected with so many, and that community is just growing around me. Let's go with some questions. I see some questions coming in from the chat, and thank you to all of those great folks who dropped questions in our community posts earlier today as we were leading up to this live stream. What's something you wish you knew, panelists? What's something you wish you knew before starting your GLP-1 journey? Anyone want to go first on that one?
I wish I knew about more of the side. Like I had cramping in my legs, and I wasn't hungry at all. And then when I tried to sit down and eat dinner, when I did eat, I got nauseous. I just wish I knew that before I started it, because I thought that I was getting the flu or getting sick, and it wasn't. It was the medicine.
Okay. So side effects, some of the side effects. And the side effect that I like most is that side effect of not feeling hungry. Who wants to take that? What that is? They have a name for that in the GLP-1 community. Maybe you want to take that. It doesn't matter. Any one of the panelists.
Well, I can take that. You're talking about the food noise, not feeling hungry. You know, we all define things differently. I think for me, going back to what I wish I had known before, first of all, let me say I'm so grateful for this community, this GLP-1 community on YouTube, really and truly, because I think the first thing was the major constipation, and then just learning how to eat better, because I know for me, because I saw so many people losing weight on the GLP-1, you know, I thought, okay, I'm just going to take this injection and I'm going to lose weight miraculously and get off and be fine, you know, and that did not happen. I knew nothing about protein. You know, I was always focusing on low carbs. I knew nothing about protein, nothing about fiber, the balance of macros and stuff like that. And I learned about that through this community. So, you know, I'm grateful, and I hope that people who do choose to get on the GLP-1 will, you know, seek out, if not this community, somewhere similar.
Okay. And I see nodding coming from JC, Calamity Jane. JC, I just heard Low Carb Queen use these terms, y'all. I'm only 2 weeks deep into this Zepbound journey of my own. She used that word macros. Can you give us some clarity about that? And do you have any follow-up about silencing the food noise as a good side effect of taking GLP-1s?
Sure. So first, macros. Think of macros as, I'm just going to, I want to keep things succinct. The building blocks of food. So if you look on the back of the label of, you know, this is probably, I'm not going to do that because that's not real food. It's usable, but it's not real food. But my protein drink. Anyway, but the macros are your basic carbohydrates, your fiber, your protein, the fat, things of those natures. You know, if you think of a food label, the things above, you know, those primary top 4 things above. And it also translates to, if you think about it, your macros also translates to a lot of the labs you get, right? So if you think about the labs you have to get for your heart, for your analysis and things like that, they kind of match the macros on your food content. You know, something to think about there, right? And so those are your basic macros. For any weight loss journey, whether you are on GLP-1 or anything you're doing, your top macros are going to always be your carbs. And I would go, and I'm going to keep it succinct, net carbs, which is carbs minus fiber minus sugar alcohols, and then your protein, again, your fiber, and then those are the biggies, right? Those are the biggies. And so you can use different tools to monitor those things. Protein, again, is going to be a major one, and because of how fat breaks down and energy breaks down in your body. And then carbs are going to be mindful, anybody that's dealing with insulin resistance, or, you know, whether they're diabetic, because there's other reasons you can be insulin resistant outside of being diabetic. So that's the macro part of it. What the second? Can you repeat the second part you were looking into?
Did you have anything else about the food noise?
Food noise. So food noise. So, you know, and there's the Dariums of the world and the RMZs of the world that can kind of get more into it, because I know they talk a lot about it on their channel. But ultimately, there's a brain gastro connection, right? You know. And so when your body has determined that it needs food and all those things, there's signaling to your brain, or in a perfect world, the signaling to your brain is like, time to eat. Okay, let's go. And then when you have satisfied that signaling, so to speak, you're good. You're good. But what we have learned is part of the reason these GLPs are so functional is that most of us on these things those things aren't functioning for us, right? And so we may eat this beautiful meal, and then 5 minutes later, I want some popcorn just because I want it, right? Or, I I want 5 more pieces of bacon just because I want 5 more pieces of bacon. And it has nothing to do with whether or not you're satisfied or you're full. And so that's what, these medications are zeroing in on, that sort of that brain science, or that brain part of the body, to help us say you're good. And then we can get into like the whole suppression later in the conversation. But as far as the food noise, the satiety, the feeling of being satisfied is the what's happening in the gastric system, how these GLP-1s work with insulin, how these GLP-1s work with our brain neurons and things like that. It is finally giving us the connections to say, I am satisfied and I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes too much.
And I would dare say we are good right now, because however we're showing up in the world, we're here. We are talking that real talk with others who are also on a weight loss journey. And so we are here and we have a purpose. There's a question from the chat for Gemini Diva 79. What dose are you on? And this is coming from Round Mound of Zepbound. So shout out to my fellow Zepbound user. And did you start at 2.5 when you switched to Mounjaro? And I hope I'm saying that right.
Yes. When I was on Ozempic, I was at the highest level of Ozempic. Then when I switched to Mounjaro, I did do the 2.5. Now I'm at the 5. So that answers that question.
Okay. And again, how long have you been on the Mounjaro?
5 weeks.
Okay. And thank you for sharing that. Question. We've got so many comments rolling in. I am super surprised with how many folks have put a 1 in the chat as GLP-1 users. I love that to me, that tells me we are losing the stigma. GLP-1s are a prescription medication, just like I'm also on blood pressure medication, because high blood pressure is a comorbidity for excessive weight. And I'm not just overweight, I am obese, and so close to, being super obese, or whatever comes after obesity. Like there are levels of obesity. And so it was time. It was time for me. And panel, if you all have a question, or you think there's a direction we need to go in, I'm trying to pull these questions that came in through our post comments today on each of our communities. Somebody's got needs to mute, please. How has your mindset changed since starting GLP-1s? How has your mindset about food changed since starting GLP-1s? Do you want to take that, Grant?
Yeah, sure. It's shifted, as Darian was saying there, in JC. You get suppressed, you get less food noise. And because of that, it starts to train your body into knowing that you only need to eat what you need to eat. You don't have to keep going. You do stop for me, halfway through, typically, if I go to a restaurant. I mean, I always have about half left now. It's amazing. And one thing I thought of while Jen was talking there, was, you start at 2.5 and go on up and titrate up at the pace that your doctor sees fit. But that's helping in the process to train your brain to a point where I'm at the max dose now. I've had over a year to retrain the brain. The medicine does a lot, but you have to have that on your mind too. That, okay, I got to learn from this, because eventually the medicine won't work as well. It does like any other medication. It will kind of wear off over time once you get to the max. So you have to keep that in mind as you're going up, to make sure you're learning the new ways. So when you get to the max and that suppression and stuff kind of starts to not be as strong, you're not in trouble. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, okay, I just started my last level. So I really need to be paying attention to what I need to do. And, I'm not saying that the 15 won't continue to work to a point, but it does lose a little bit of effectiveness over time because, like any medication, your body gets used to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I know that Vicky, thank you, Grant. I know that Vicky's World indicated that she is learning more and more about GLP-1s, fairly new to this process as well. And her doctors were kind of suggesting this to her for years. And she has now started using GLP-1s. Vicky, how have your thoughts changed about food, your interactions with food since being on GLP-1s?
Well, I was an emotional eater, and being on GLP-1s, being on Mounjaro especially, it made me have to think of different ways to deal with problems and stress. Because usually, the kids get on my nerves, I'll just make me a sandwich. I was always constantly eating. Now I'm doing other things with my hands, crocheting, doing yard work, drawing, coloring. So it made me have to find something different to do.
Thank you. And we've got lots of questions and comments rolling in from the chat. And so let me start to address some of those. For Nuestra Familia asks, is anyone taking the pill form of a GLP-1?
No, I'm taking the injection.
Yeah, so I think we're all injecting, but that would be a very interesting perspective.
I'm taking the injection.
Okay. Yeah. Everyone's taking injection here. Nuestra Familia, if you are a GLP-1 user and you are taking the pill, we'd love to have you join us as a part of the panel in future weeks, because you bring a very interesting perspective and a new perspective to GLP-1 use. It's my understanding, and I don't know if any of the other panelists, what do you know, if anything, about how long has the pill form of GLP-1s been out here? Because I know that's a common issue for why folks may be hesitant to start a GLP-1 journey, is because it is injected via pen or using an actual syringe in the vial form. Anybody?
I believe it's Wegovy, isn't it, Jen?
It is, and I feel like isn't Dave on the pen? Yeah, didn't he switch to the and the only thing I know about it, and this is Norvo, and everyone correct me. Yeah, so Wegovy, so Norvo know this version is that you have to follow the instructions, otherwise it's the gastro situations are going to be intense, and so it would be nice to kind of start hearing more about it and more people's experiences of it. And what I would say, my dear friend Liliana, is, as boring as it is, there should be a pamphlet that comes with the pill, and I would read it line by line, cover to cover. Because the one thing I will say about being on YouTube and this journey is that some people did not read that panel, and they're finding out things that are literally on section 2, page 1. I read the panel because I'm a nerd. I like, let me pull. I'm reading it, and so I would highly recommend reading through that and talking with your doctor, and kind of making a schedule for yourself when it comes to sort of the recommendations on, when you're drinking your water, when you need to have food on the stomach, et cetera, is my recommendation there. And I'll just leave it at that.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else?
It seems like the pros and cons that I've heard so far between pill form and injection form is, like Jen said, you really got to follow the instructions, especially with the pill, because you can't eat it all. Because I think if you eat, it won't be as effective, because it's going through your gastric, system instead of being injected directly into your bloodstream. So, that would really take some getting used to if I ever had to switch to pill. But The cost is definitely the biggest pro I've heard. I mean, it's definitely a lot cheaper than the injection for people that don't have coverage. So, time will
Okay.
tell.
Right, and then the Wegovy pill, and that is different for than what Eli Lilly, my understanding, will not have as intensive sort of follow these rules or else. But it's still, I would always recommend reading that panel because, like I said, there's been a lot of the discussions that happened since these medications have come out. People kind of find, what you'll find with the GLP-1 trend in this community is like for 30 days, people will kind of talk about the same symptom, or they'll talk about the same, oh, did you know that it did this? It's like, well, again, Section 5 talks about
if you read it, you know.
So, and this is why it's so important to read all those. I mean, I know it's boring. I know the print is tiny. And I know no one's interested in the chemical compound structure, but it just tells you a picture of, but there is solid information in that stuff. Yeah.
And you have Jen here that reads it cover to cover. And then you got me that just found out that there's instructions inside the box lid of the injections. I'd never seen that.
Even when I took them for the first time, they cut the instructions out and gave them to me. They didn't give me the whole box. But with me, I couldn't take the pill form because with Crohn's and the smaller intestines and having absorption issues, I had and being used to taking it just was easier for me.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you for sharing that from someone who has some, it's my understanding that Crohn's is a autoimmune.
Yes.
issue. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Vicky's World, 2 moms. And for Gemini Diva, Round Mound of Zepbound is sharing with you that plateau where your weight loss might be stuck. It says that he says that might break as you get up on the higher doses of Mounjaro.
Yes, I'm hoping.
Okay. All right.
Just got an email saying my shipment is coming. So I'm hoping.
Okay. Well, we are hoping with you, and stay the course. My suggestion is to stay the course. Something has to happen. Especially as you go up into higher doses. And our friend Jen is back with us from Positive T. Y'all, thank you all for continuing to put your questions in the chat. This is for the panel. What would you tell someone that needs a GLP-1 but is scared to take it? Low Carb Queen, I just looked at your beautiful face. What would you tell someone that needs to take a GLP-1 but is scared?
Okay, so first of all, I would probably tell someone, of course, don't be afraid, because I was absolutely scared to take it. Let me just say this. One of my major side effects is tiredness. And so, I mean, like lethargic. And I don't know how many people have that, but I took my injection yesterday. So I am like bobbing and weaving at this moment. But yeah, one of the things I would just say, don't be afraid. I know Losing It Grace said something one time when there was a conversation on one of my lives about whether or not you would take it, continually, or whether you would, you just wanted to get in and get out. And, she made a comment in the chat like, well, what about high blood pressure medicine? Will you stop taking it when your pressure is low? You know what I mean? And so, again, that's kind of my, not necessarily issue, but my question when it comes to food noise, because the medication does help the quote unquote food noise until it doesn't, which means that you have to titrate up. Does that make sense? Because if it solved the problem, so to speak, like the high blood pressure will solve it, but you still have to continue to take it. But if I hear what Grant is saying, definitely, to the extent that, I'm at 15, so I'm really going to have to train myself to ignore the food noise or not to eat because there's nowhere else to go. So in answer to the question, I would definitely, tell people to try it. If it doesn't work for you, then you can always get off. You can always let it go, but you should at least give your health a chance by trying it, especially if you've been obese for years. So yeah, that's it.
Anyone else want to share? Go ahead, Jen.
I'll share, even though it seems anytime I share, my computer's gonna stall, but I'll get it out. Anyway, I think with that particular question, you have to know what it is. Where's the fear? Is it in the taking of the medicine because of X, Y, and Z? Is it because I don't like needles? Is it because, so you have to sort of address where the fear is at first and then, proceed forward. Like I said, I'm the perfect example. I was first offered this drug in August of 2022. And I said no because of all this fear about the digestive issues, and I didn't want to compound managing type 1 diabetes with also dealing with digestive issues. So, for me, it was like, nope, not going to do it. Offered again in 23. Nope, not going to do it. Offered again in 24. Nope, not going to do it. In 25, my doctor looks at me at 292 pounds and says, you've got to do something. And if you don't like it, you can stop taking it. I'm like, down, bet, let's do it. And here we are. But I tell this day, had I taken it in August of 2022, I would have never met you lovely people. So it was all God's plan. So.
Thank God that God has a master plan for each of us. Thank goodness for that. And let me say this before we do our creator spotlight for Low Carb Queen. She is our creator spotlight for this week. Y'all, I need some evening coffee, but I'm trying to reset my body and not crave one of my favorite things, coffee. But I want you to remind you all that if you check in the description box, you can find access to all of our channel links from these fabulous creators who are part of our channel. And Paula Hardin, who's down in the chat, thank you for commenting and saying that you are a GLP-1 user and you too had a stall. And so I think in that respect, you can at times expect for your weight over multiple weeks to be fairly the same, and you are not losing pounds. Every week won't be a losing week. And I'm only 2 weeks in, y'all. So this is why I wanted to do this panel, because we have so many GLP-1 users who are in fact content creators and can help us with some of this. Does anybody want to talk a little bit about what Paula is saying about that stall and how she used maintenance calories? So to me, that might be a calorie deficit, eating less calories to jumpstart her back into the active weight loss, losing weight. Anybody?
For eating less calories, I think that came along with the not hunger noise. But what I also do is I change up my workout routines. So when you change up your workout routines or the things you do, like if I walk the dog every day, instead of walking them 1 mile, I'm walking 1.5 miles. But that also burns more calories and your body can't help but to lose weight.
You bring up a great point, Vicky's World, to moms. So I want us to just do a quick round robin. I'm going to call your name. Tell us what your go-to is for combining exercise with your GLP-1 use. And I know I walk outside. I use YouTube videos to walk. And I just recently, y'all, in the past 2 weeks have added Tai Chi using YouTube videos. And I love it. I love it. Tell us what you're doing. Grant, tell us what you're doing.
Well, it kind of combined with what Paula was talking about here is I didn't really have a plateau till I started going to the gym and training with a trainer back in October, which was kind of odd to me because I've increased activity. But, when you're resistance strength training, your body is getting muscle again. And, you don't have instant muscle weight. It takes a few months to get, but you get instant water weight from the process of you're literally tearing your muscles, for lack of a better word, when you're working out like that to build them back up. And in doing that, it produces water weight and all. So that's when my plateau happened. And finally now I'm starting to get off of that. Well, a little earlier now, probably January. But it took a few months to get out of that plateau for that reason. But I've been fortunate to have a local gym I go to with a trainer, and at least once a week we're doing an hour.
Oh, wow.
I've been trying to go a couple more times a week on my own. Trying is the key word, but at least I have the one time.
Okay. Gemini Diva, is exercise a part of your GLP-1 use and weight loss?
Yes. I got the infinity hoop. I recently got into chair exercises. Since it's been cold outside, once it warms up, I'll be walking my neighborhood, doing the treadmill again, But right now it's just, I'm basically in the house.
Okay. Yeah. But spring is just around the corner. Vicky, what are you doing for exercise?
For exercise, I do. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I do walking. I do walk yourself thin in your living room. I'm training for a 5K marathon I'm supposed to be doing with my sister. So I'm doing like 3 miles in my living room. But getting outside, trying to make it up this hill, live on top of a big hill, that's what I'm trying to do, make it up the hill. I park my car on the hill, make it happen, and go back down.
All right, friend. Keep it up. A 5K. What a great goal. I think a 5K is how you said 3 miles, a little over
3.1 miles.
There you have it. There you have it. Well, keep training, and I can't wait for you to update us in the next few weeks on how that training is going. Y'all, we're going to take a moment. We're going to pause for the cause, and we're going to focus on the low carb queen. She is our creator spotlight for this week. And so, low carb queen, would you share with us the totality of your GLP-1 use? Because I saw one of your recent videos and I was super inspired, I must tell you, low carb queen, because I saw 100 pounds. Can you tell us what that entails? How long did it take for you to lose right at 100 pounds? Talk a little bit about your weight loss journey before and since you started GLP-1s.
And before you start, Kim, I'm going to bow out. Okay. I will see y'all a little later.
Yes, we're coming over to see you too. So
thank you.
Go ahead, Kim. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, so I think it was 1 year on Mounjaro. It wasn't exactly 100 pounds. I was like, I'm almost in the twos. That's my goal, to just get to the twos. I have 5 biological daughters, and they have never seen me at a regular weight. And so that has been part of my motivation. In the bottom of 2021, I was 394 pounds, 6 pounds from 400 pounds. And I usually, I felt like I carried my weight well. And I felt like because of the bubble that I was in, which is the church bubble, that, it was okay. But when I saw that scale, and I cried when I hit 300. And so I was crying when I hit 394, but I was desperate because I was just like, this is just too much weight. So that's when I went to the doctor and I got started with Ozempic. And so the top of 2022, I was on Ozempic, and for like about the first 4 months, maybe 4 to 6 months, I lost 46 pounds. But it was affecting my kidneys. I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know anything about like the amount of water you should drink, the amount of protein, I was just focusing on low carbs. And so when my doctor said, we're going to have to check, keep an eye on your kidney levels, I immediately panicked because I didn't want to take it in the first place, but I was afraid, because I was so close to 400. So I stopped taking it, and I gained half of that weight back, 23 pounds. And so I was literally just trying different diets and stuff to try to not gain all of that weight back. And so, time passed. I was, going back and forth, 75 soft challenge, no carbs, keto. I started out with keto, doing just, different things to try to lose weight on my own. And so I became desperate as I started to climb the scale. I became desperate. And so in January of 2025, I decided, okay, I'm going to have to try it. I'm going to have to give it a shot. Now, my goal for Low Carb Queen was to make sure that people saw a genuine journey. That has always been my goal.
Okay.
I might overshare, but I want it to be, as transparent as possible when it comes to this journey, because we have so many things going on in our lives, and then you have triggers. And if weight loss was easy, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation with or without the GLP-1 medication. So I wanted people to see my flaws. I wanted people to see my mess ups and my hang ups, because I know at the end of the day, I'm going to accomplish my goal. That I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, because that's the type of person that I am. I'm competitive with myself. But I still wanted to see some things, reflect some things, and acknowledge some things in that process. And maybe what I see in myself, what I reflect, and what I acknowledge might help somebody else. And because a lot of people will give up. I was at 301 at the end of February, celebrated with food, stopped exercising, because it's a given. If you exercise, like, people think you just take the needle, but for me, if I exercise, I'm going to lose weight, period. 3 times a week, that's a minimum. That's all I have to do, and I will lose weight. But when I hit that 301, I have not exercised maybe like once, and we're on March 9th. I probably exercised once this month, but and I got comfortable, but it's okay. So I just, like I said, I want to show people the genuine journey, because I want them to know that if I can do it, anybody can do it. So that's where we are with my year journey on Mounjaro. Like I said, I started at 394, but in January of 2025, I was at 350 when I took Mounjaro. So my weight today is 309. So do the math. Okay.
And we know Low Carb Queen.
I'm at 301, so that's 49 pounds. And then, the 394, that was what, 44 pounds or whatever. I don't know. Whatever that was, it's almost 100 pounds, but we're close. We're close. So
well, we're going to celebrate close enough, because I know that you're going to smash through that 100 pounds, and we're going to be here with you as the GLP-1 collective, celebrating you and cheering you on all the way. Nicole Ray, GLP-1, thank you for your comment, says that she's utilizing walking, Pilates, and weights. And I like that. What you talked about exercise too, Low Carb Queen. What are your go-to for exercising as part of your weight loss journey? Low Carb Queen?
So my go-to is walking. I haven't been walking that much because of the weather. Exercising in the house. Like I said, my goal is to do a minimum of 3 times a week, and that's 10 to 20 minutes. If I can't do like a full 20 minutes, or if I don't do a full 20 minutes, then I will try to get in another 10 minutes before the day is out. And that's like, I use Grow with Joe. I use this other guy, his name is Rick. And I'm starting to look at, she is Tamika. She's been making some, Coach T has been making some videos and doing some modifications, you know, for people my age or people with knees my age. So that's been very, very helpful.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning another content creator. Share their name again. There's a bit of delay, friends.
She is Tamika.
She is Tamika. Shout out to that content creator. And GLP-1
weight loss exercises.
Okay. I saw a lot of folks talking about chair exercises.
That's what I do. I do like I said, I do try to work out 3 times a week, and I try my best to do it in the morning to get it out of the way. I have a whole, you know, I love a good chart, a good schedule. You know, I've got several. So, you know, I try to get that out of the way first thing in the morning. Because if I get it out of the way, I'm good.
I'm an exerciser in the morning as well. But what I've also been trying to do is I work at home remotely. So what I've also been trying to do is be real intentional. And in between my what seems like an endless amount of Zoom meetings is getting up, getting moving, get on my vibration plate, do a quick, you know, mile walk with my favorite YouTube, videos going. And that has really helped me a lot. Just even in these 2 weeks, I'm just trying to get my muscle up and get my routines up. I want to just do a quick, if I can, let me see if I can pop over there real quick and share low carb queen. Y'all, she has.
Absolutely. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. I'm not gonna be able to do that because I got too much feedback going on. I was going to pop over to her channel. Y'all check the description box. I don't know who that is. Somebody needs to mute. But y'all check in the description box for all of these.
1 second. I wanted to say one thing too in reference to like when you were talking about the movement. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Because my internet is moving slow. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Try again now, Queen.
What I was going to say was I know JC had talked one time about, you know, I'm not getting up enough. So that's one of the things too that I'm conscious of, because I can sit at my computer for a couple of hours. And so like, you know, I heard you talking about that, like, you know, just get up, just get up every 30 minutes, every 45 minutes, you know. And so you hear these things, you pick up these things, and every little bit helps, you know.
Jen.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go ahead and because I mean, we've been here an hour, and so we probably all should kind of get up, you know, walk in place, and kind of everybody kind of move if you're out there. I know a lot of y'all are on walking paths, but we should always be moving. Every 30 minutes is what the American Diabetes Association recommends. They say basically sitting is worse than smoking. We are now at a crux in life that sitting is worse than smoking to our bodies. And has more of an indicator of health than smoking. Wow. And so I know I'm conscious of it because that's always been recommended, the whole movement thing. It impacts, especially for those of us who have insulin resistance. The best thing you can do for insulin resistance is moving.
Yeah, looks like you might have to go out one more time, JC, and come back in for us. We'll come back to you, friend. Thanks for that reminder. That's a quick takeaway from me. And y'all, as we've got just a couple minutes left, And so I want us to do a round robin. And I know I saw a lot of questions flow in because a common side effect of GLP-1s, no matter which GLP-1 you might be on, is the constipation. And so let's just be solution oriented though. And if you could, in like 30 seconds, panelists, we're going to use this as our last question for this evening. What do you use to curb or minimize that constipation associated with GLP-1 use? Who wants to get started with that? I'll do mine, and then y'all just pick up. I just immediately started consuming more water. I've been on GLP-1, Zepbound for 2 weeks. So I just started to increase my water intake, and that has helped with the constipation. lowcarbqueen, I heard you going in next. What do you do to minimize that constipation as a side effect? Gemini Diva, go ahead, and then we'll come back to lowcarbqueen.
I actually have
the fiber, and I definitely drink water. I brought my Stanley cup with me on a little mini vacation. 2 of these a day.
Okay.
Is the minimum. And I haven't been drinking enough today. My hands are literally cramping. That's why I'm eating tangerine. Okay. But the other thing is the fiber. Shout out once again to Cookie, who has suggested, I buy Miralax, but she suggested to see if your insurance would pay for it. And lo and behold, mine did. Medicare pays for something. So I get that fiber through my insurance. And if, it's just a consistency. Taking that every single day in a bottle of water.
Okay.
It helps. It took a long time for me to get that done.
Okay, so drink more water.
Drink more water.
Add some Miralax to your diet.
Yes.
Or the prescription strength Miralax. And lowcarbqueen is reminding us we may be able to get our insurance to pay for it. Ask your doctor about it. Go ahead, Gemini Diva.
Fiber 1. I eat a lot of Fiber 1. The crackers, the little cookies, things, the brownies, the Fiber 1s. I do that like at least every morning because at night I'm trying to sleep. I'm not trying to be in the bathroom at night.
All right. And JC, tell us what you do. What is your suggestion? We're just all doing a round robin, talking about ways that we can curb that. What is a known issue, the constipation associated with GLP-1 use?
So water, and I do follow, go to Marjorie, the Bossway, go to her channel. I think she reposted her water schedule, but it's keeping that, keeping your water asterisk. Talk with your doctor. If you have chronic kidney disease, you have a limit on how much water you can do. So, just because someone says drink half your body water weight or drink this much water, don't do anything until you've talked with your doctor, especially if you have a diagnosis of chronic kidney disease or any disease where water has to be managed, right? So I keep to my water schedule, and I know there's this fear of drinking water first thing in the morning. I do 32 ounces of water before I get out of bed, and and that moves things out of my body so much so that I won't get on the scale unless I do my water first. I won't get on the scale on my weigh-in day unless I've done my water that day, because it moves things out. Moves it out. And so, and then I will do Miralax on day, I'll do Miralax on day 2 and then day maybe 5 or 6, depending on what's going on. But Miralax, since I've been on 7.5, Miralax has not been something I've needed, but that's just me, right? And then just ensuring I get the fiber in through different types of food. I tend to get most of my fiber through, I will do flaxseed, chia seed, the extra, because it's good for good heart health. But other than that, it's just the food I eat. Get somebody that knows how to cook collard greens If you need something to move, get somebody that because I know people don't like collard greens, but find somebody that knows how to cook them. I know how to cook collard greens.
I love collard greens, and I heard Jen say that, y'all. I'm just on week 2 of Zepbound, and so I heard Jen say this just like in the past week during a live stream, reminding us what she uses as part in her toolkit for constipation. She said collard greens, and I already have a meal prepped in the freezer. So I pulled them out as part of this week's meal prep. And the good thing is my small bowl, it should last me all week because you eat far less food. Y'all, we are coming down from this place, and I'm dropping in the chat at this moment. We want to go support Grant from Grant's Faithful GLP-1 Journey. He is being interviewed by another GLP-1 user, Paul Amadeus. Tell me the rest of that. Paul Amadeus Lane. Okay, so we're going to support Grant and Paul, GLP-1 users. They're holding it down for the male perspective. Y'all, let's pop on over there if you have a moment. This train is going to keep right on rolling. And I call this our Sunshine Joy Bus, because when I grew up, I was in the Sunshine Band at church. And y'all, we used to be packed in there. So it was nothing but the grace of God that kept us, because I don't think anybody had on a seatbelt way back then. We would, a 15-passenger van, it was probably 30 children in that church van. But we're going in a Sprinter. We're going in the Sprinter, y'all. So y'all, we're gonna toodle over in my kitten heels, and we're gonna go see Paul and Grant. And y'all, let them know that KendyK sent you, and let them know that the GLP-1 community is supporting. Let me drop that in the chat at this moment. And thank you, Jen. Y'all, look at these great creators. Y'all, thank you all. We'll be back here next Monday for our GLP-1 Real Talk Live. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to drop that one more time, and I'm going to play a little bit of music so that everyone has a chance to get over there. Drop in the chat and let them know that we are GLP-1 users, supporters of folks who are thinking about taking GLP-1s, or might be taking GLP-1s ourselves, or supporting someone on their weight loss journey. Thank you all. Thank you, Low Carb Queen, JC, Calamity Jane, Vicky's World, Two Moms, and also to Gemini Diva 79. Let's go support our content creator, Grant's Faithful GLP-1 Journey. And thank y'all for being here. This is KendyK all day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. It's that time again, we shine again. From Memphis to the Northwest wind. It's love, it's life, it's every day. KendyK all day. Morning like coffee in hand. Making moves with a master plan. Simple things make the spirit stay. We find our joy in the everyday. Keep it real, that's the only way. More than love and all you make. From meal preps to dreams that play. We glow up in our own way. We living, we vibing. Good food, good love, we thriving. Every gym she drops, we find it our way. KendyK all day, KendyK all day, yeah. KendyK all day, yeah. She got a southern
Goodbye for now. See you next week.
Ain't no stopping when her light goes.